The bigger they are, the harder they fall. Or, in the case of the English media, they'll build you up only to tear you down. The same seems to be happening to England's BAZBALL approach in Test cricket, something that was very much lauded across all circles when it first came about and started getting results. Well, now that the results have gone south and they've lost back-to-back Test matches to India in India, well, the knives are very much out, and trust you me when I say it is along the exact same lines that you'd expect a lot of the criticism to be coming. Now, that's not to say that it's all bombastic, jingoistic stuff that is doing the rounds. A lot of the criticism is very measured and does in fact make some very good points that the England team should perhaps look to consider when it comes to, let's say, getting out of the situation they currently find themselves in. After all, they're staring down the barrel of a series defeat in India, and should that series defeat eventually come to pass, as it does look like now, the criticism is only going to get worse. So we're going to go over in this particular video some of the criticism that's come their way from the English media, whether that be media personalities in former England captains, or how it is that the media houses in general are reacting. What is it that they're saying? And trust me when I say it is glorious at its best, but there is also some good lessons there for England if they so choose to take them, of course. Let's start off with what Michael Vaughan has said in a column that he's put out in the Daily Telegraph. He said that they talk about not playing for the draw, but to me that's disrespectful to Test cricket. The draw is a crucial part of the game, and in 5 Test contests has often provided the bedrock of some great series victories. Now, it is worth noting that this is in fact the truth when it comes to, if you're looking at in the Ashes, 5 Test matches have been the norm, and a lot of them have gone 2-1. Now, whichever side has gone on to win 2-1 have obviously drawn a couple of matches, sometimes in close circumstances. So as he said, if you talk about only going for the win and eliminating the draw. Now, to be fair, this isn't a BAZBALL related thing necessarily. In the era of the World Test Championship, less and less teams are going for draws. They prefer getting the wins because, again, that means more WTC points. But as he says, saying you shouldn't only talk about not getting draws and we're only going to go for the win. He's saying you're eliminating or talking about removing something that is very much at the core or the heart of Test cricket. In fact, his criticism gets even more pointed when referencing certain quotes by Ben Duckett, wherein he said that, watching Jaiswal play, I think that, they're getting some ideas from how it is that we are playing. He further says, he said, Ben Duckett reckons they deserve credit for the way Yashasvi Jaiswal is batting, as if no player in history has ever played an attacking shot. And I don't often find myself agreeing with Michael Vaughan, but this is one of those cases where I say his analysis is spot on. Jaiswal isn't the first opener to be playing aggressive attacking cricket. In fact, as Virendra Sehwag himself referenced it recently, BAZBALL, the way or the approach was something that Sehwag himself was playing long before BAZBALL was even a thing. Aggressive Test players is not new. You've seen a lot of teams do it. You've seen a lot of players do it. So maybe, as he says, you should be focusing on, not looking to take credit away from such cases. In fact, I think the Jaiswal example is interesting because it pivots straight away to another point that is made by another former England captain in Nasser Hussain. He said that instead of England's players saying how great it is that Yashasvi Jaiswal has been looking to emulate them, note what he's actually doing. Yes, he's attacking, he's smashing sixes for fun, but crucially playing the situation. That last line right there needs to be printed out and framed in all England dressing rooms for the foreseeable future, because it encapsulates something that they haven't been doing at all. Play the situation. In fact, that is exactly what Jaiswal did. There were times where he was looking to be slow, looking to be conservative, get the ones and twos. Then when he got comfortable, went gung-ho, hell for leather, and pretty much deflated the English players' confidence. Nasser Hussain is saying, instead of saying that Jaiswal is looking to emulate us, maybe you should be looking to emulate what it is that Jaiswal is doing. Emulate that approach, imbibe it within yourselves. It's great that you can play attackingly, but you cannot only be playing in one gear. That's just not how it works at all. And Nasser Hussain is someone whose views I often find very interesting. The way he articulates them, very good, very deep analysis. And in this case too, I have to say, yeah, you know what? Spot on. There is no way that you should be looking to only be playing one style. Be like Yashasvi Jaiswal. Go ahead, play the situation, play attacking when necessary, but when the situation calls for it, defend, dig deep, That is what Test cricket is all about. In fact, these are, by the way, interesting words, let's say, from former England captains. The media in itself, the reaction has been less than, let's say, generous. BBC Sport have said very clearly that, listen, England BAZBALL is now at a crossroads after the heavy defeat in the third test. A crossroads. This is what they're saying. It's at a point now where they need to choose what way they're going. Do you want to continue on in the same direction wherein you know you win spectacularly but also lose spectacularly, or do you want to take a different direction and say, look, we know how to play aggressively, now we perhaps need to learn when to temper that and how to play situationally. The Guardian were even less generous. By the way, BBC Sport was saying that it's a crossroads. The Guardian says that this is the end of the BAZBALL rhetoric. In fact, the headline here says the nature of England's third test defeat surely spells the end of the BAZBALL rhetoric. Wow, that is as harsh and as brutal as you can possibly imagine anyone being, because it says, look, the rhetoric is great, you want to play attacking, you want to play positive, you want to take the game to the opposition, you want to win all the matches, you don't want to settle for draws, you want to be going all out all the time. All of that's great, but look what that's gotten you. It's gotten you your second heaviest test defeat and the heaviest test defeat that you have suffered in 90 years when it comes to terms of runs. So time to maybe end the rhetoric, time to maybe look to do more. And if you go by a report in the Daily Mail, and I know that the Daily Mail, not exactly gold standard for journalism when it comes to English newspapers, definitely not, probably right down there with some of the newspapers you shouldn't be reading, and I'm being generous calling them a newspaper. Well, they themselves have picked up on some fan sentiment, and let's just say it's not pretty. This is entirely a headline, by the way, so before you think that this is an article, no, it's their entire web headline. And let me read it out to you, and you can see it on your screen now. England's third test defeat against India is labelled as catastrophic and embarrassing by fuming fans as visitors slump to 122 all out and lose by 434 runs in deciding innings. Catastrophic and embarrassing. That is what fans are calling this particular defeat. And lest I add that if you think the Daily Mail are making this up, which is a reasonable assumption, by the way, they have quotes from fans wherein they've talked about this entire thing and said, look, it's just not happening. It doesn't matter what your approach is. If your situation doesn't demand for it, don't be reckless. Catastrophic and embarrassing. And in fact, I can't think of two words much better than this to describe the situation that England find themselves in. And it's funny how things can change. Because after the first test match, which they won in Hyderabad, there was big talk about 5-0, whitewash, England getting an easy series win, and all of that. But now, you're 2-1 down with 2 tests to play, staring down the barrel of, at best, a 3-2 series loss, at worst, a 4-1 series loss, and even more humiliation at the hands of a team who are firing on all cylinders. As I said, a lot of media reactions, sometimes players tend to block out the noise. But if I were England, I'd look at some of these introspect and say, you know what? These guys, they do have a little bit of a point. It's great to be aggressive, but sometimes you just need to play the situation. And how things are going right now, surely they cannot continue. So it's that crossroads moment for English cricket, at least according to what the media is saying. But what are your thoughts on the entire matter? Do you agree with the sentiments? Do you think maybe they need to stick to their processes and that this is just growing pains? What are your thoughts? Let us know that in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, tap that bell icon, leave us a comment, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Don't forget to download the SportsTech app, and if you're already on the channel, go ahead, check out some other videos we've done as well. For now, from my side, it is goodbye.